Major conference in college gymnastics only got stronger. Every flip, split, and dismount has never mattered more.
She's beautiful to watch.
That was spectacular.
You better get used to it because they're not going anywhere.
Welcome to the 2025 ACC Gymnastics Championship.
Welcome inside the First Horizon Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina for the 2025 ACC Gymnastics Championship. There are 6 teams competing in 2 separate sessions today. In the first session we're about to see right now features the 5th and 6th seed Clemson and Pittsburgh. Tonight at 7 on the ACC network, you can see the top 4 seeds, California, Stanford, NC State, and North Carolina. And hi everybody, I'm Bart Connor along with my fellow Olympian Bridget Sloan. And Bridget, I'm excited to be working with you today. First of all, the conference has changed a lot and we'll be talking about that in the ACC. Let's talk specifically about Clemson and Pittsburgh. They come into this competition from different perspectives, don't they?
They do. Pittsburgh in their 50th season, they had new coaching staff last year, so she's in her 2nd season, and that coaching staff is really trying to rebuild the program, where over to Clemson, they are in their 2nd season ever. Team 2, and they are looking to build this program.
What they do have in common is some really superstar athletes.
Over on Pittsburgh, Miss Jalea Bedminster, you see she's got 9 career 9.9 or better scores. And then over to Clemson, Eve Jackson. Again, looking at those 9.9 scores, she has 12 in her career so far.
And for more on Clemson, let's go down to our 3rd member of our broadcasting team, Taylor Tannenbaum.
Bart, Bridget, it's great to be with you. Clemson really wanted to be a seeded team coming into the postseason this year. Unfortunately, because of injuries and setbacks, that's not in the cards. The Tigers, though, are locked into regionals already, and they know once they get there, it's a clean slate. They can go on a run. So coming into today's meet, head coach Amy Smith says the mindset is all about staying in the fight. She said, we're not going to throw in the towel or have a pity party because of the way things have gone for us this season. She said today it's all about stepping up and positioning themselves for a postseason run, Bart.
Oh, thank you, Taylor. And as you can see on the right side of your screen, those are the 2 teams and their respective lineups. Clemson will open up on vault and will alternate competitors with Pitt on the bars. Quinn Cool is the leadoff vaulter for the Clemson Tigers.
And this is big for Clemson, starting on vault. A Yurchenko full, but one thing Quinn does so well is she has such controlled landings. She took a minor hop on that, but a nice start for Clemson.
Let's remind our audience how the meet format works. We're in the championship part of the season, but this session features just the 5th and 6th seeds. Tonight will be a quad meet. We'll talk more about that later. The team with the highest score across both sessions will win the championship. 6 gymnasts compete on each apparatus for each team, counting just the top 5 scores towards that team total. And here is the leadoff competitor for Pitt, Jalea Bedminster.
Nice Maloney to the high bar, right back down to the low bar. A little messy in her feet. You want to see those legs glued together. Beautiful cast handstand. And the dismount, double layout.
Oh, nice. Wow.
And gets the stick. Awesome start for Pittsburgh on uneven bars. And take a look at this dismount one more time. It's a double layout. I love that her legs are glued together, and then what a solid finish with the stick.
Great opening competition run there for this first session. The 2nd vaulter up for Clemson is Maggie Holman, the sophomore from Raleigh, North Carolina. Quinn Cool, we're waiting on her score. Clemson, as you mentioned, just in their 2nd year, but boy, they sold out 5,000 season tickets holders this year. They have just gone from basically dirt to one of the most celebrated programs in the country. There is their head coach, Amy Smith herself. She has coached for more than 20 years in various schools. Just her 2nd season at Clemson. She was at Utah State for a few years before, and when she got the opportunity to come to Clemson, 6 of her athletes followed her across country and completed their careers here at Clemson. She has done just an outstanding job at not only putting a good team on the floor, but also building a huge fan base immediately.
And Bart, it speaks such volumes that she did have athletes that traveled with her. You know, they didn't have to move over to Clemson, but it's such a cool opportunity to be part of the beginning of a program. And she's done such an amazing job in her second season of, again, building that program up, because who doesn't love gymnastics?
Maggie Holman.
Big ball, front pike with the half. Big step on that landing. Great amplitude off the vault. Coming after Quinn's 9.775.
We'll see vaults today of various starting difficulties. We'll point that out as the meet progresses, as we get ready to go back to bars. Jordan Ewing getting a few extra notes before she steps up. The senior from Nova Scotia. Pitt has 5 athletes competing today on their team from outside of the United States. England, Canada, and even Norway. First score came in on bars for Jalea Bedminster. It's a 9.825. And that brings up Jordan Ewing. Once again, 6 athletes will compete. You count just the best 5 of 6 scores towards the team total. So you can have 1 mistake, but if you have 2 mistakes, it can be devastating to a team score.
Nice pass handstand for Jordan to start things off. Hike Jaeger, really nice height. And she's gonna go back down to the low bar. Beautiful execution so far. You're seeing those legs glued together. Aggressive on her cast handstands. And the dismount. Full pirouette into double tuck. Big step on that landing. She was a little out of control on that landing. Had to take the step backwards, but leading up to that dismount, Bart, that was a beautifully done routine. Line change. Here's her piked Jaeger. Very nicely done.
We'll go back to vault now. Madison Minner. What an interesting story about this young lady. She's a redshirt junior. She was a local walk-on gymnast onto the Clemson school. She was just going to go to school there, and then they invited her to work out with the team, and she earned a spot on the team. So she has vaulted exceptionally well. In fact, she has all year long, she has competed this 10.0 start value vault. And I mentioned start values. We're going to be focusing a lot on degree of difficulty start values, and that matters when you get to the championship level. The score in for Holman after Kuhl was a 9.775.
And Bart, you mentioned this is a big moment for Madison. Tuck 1.5 and gets the stick. Really well done. Again, you talk about an athlete that just was going to Clemson for school, ends up being on the gymnastics team. Just an amazing athlete.
You know what's great is this is a tucked Yurchenko 1.5, and you see the assistant coach there, Eric Lewis. He's so pumped up because when she showed up in the gym, he goes, you know, I think I can teach her that vault. And she just killed it. Great job here in the first rotation for Clemson on the vault. Some of these scores are taking a little longer than normal. Probably worth pointing out that this is the first meet of the year where they actually have 4 judges. They're taking the high and low scores of each event, throw the scores out, and they average the 2 scores in the middle for each individual gymnast. So there's a little more negotiating going on, let's just say, among the judges. I don't know the best way to say that.
I think that was perfect, Bart.
Okay. Jamie Pratt next to go after Jordan Ewing got a 9.75.
Starts things off. Big release here. Ray, very well done. Toes perfectly pointed. short on that cast handstand. Again, judges are looking for deductions in these routines. See if she can get the stick.
Nice.
Yes, she can. Jamie is a beautiful bar swinger. Has such nice control in all the elements she does. The judges, the last thing they see is the dismount, and she gets the stick.
Transfer from Arkansas. She was super consistent in their lineup. Now a junior competing for Pitt. Tara Walsh, senior from Waterford, Michigan. Coming up after Madison Minner, stuck that 1.5 twister, got a 9.875. That's a season high. What a time to do it.
And Tara's got a big vault here.
Oh, yes.
Another stuck Yurchenko 1.5. I'm going to try not to jinx anybody today, so I didn't want to speak too soon. But watching her in warm-up, Bart, her execution has improved so much. Look at the height and the distance. This is a Yurchenko 1.5. It's a 10-0 start value. So well done. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think she stuck it. You're gonna see her feet shuffle just the tiniest bit. Teeny tiny shuffle, but wow, what a vault.
Here's a graduate student, previously competed at Auburn and Michigan State. She's a grad Stanford transfer, and yet she just steps up and does a beautiful vault in that 4th spot for Clemson in this 1st rotation. Julie Madso will be next up. She is one of the foreign athletes. She's from Norway, with international experience.
And Julie coming after Jamie Pratt, 9.85. So the scores are building on both events.
Want the audience to watch out for her dismount. I think it's cool because it's kind of a throwback to the good old days of gymnastics. Tell me if you like it.
So far, so good. In the dismount.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
In a stuck landing.
Toe on pike front with a half. You don't see a lot of those anymore. Did you ever try that one, Bridget?
I did not. I did not.
Doesn't it look fun?
We'll take another look. I mean, the height, the control, what a performance.
So another hit routine for Pitt. Eve Jackson now, the senior from Los Angeles. Coming after Tara Walsh, got a 9.9 career high for almost sticking that 1.5 twister.
And this is big. It's another Yurchenko 1.5. Oh, little under rotation there. You saw, I think she was a little bit too close to the safety mat, which is that yellow piece of equipment right by the springboard. Just didn't get the rotation. In warm-up, she was sky high on that vault.
Tonight at 7 Eastern here on the ACC network and the ESPN app, Cal, Stanford, NC State, and North Carolina will compete in session 2 of the ACC Gymnastics Championships. The champion competing in 2 sessions. We will crown the champion at the end of this evening, whether the champion comes from this afternoon's session or this evening's session. Based on seeding, the top 4 teams in the conference are competing tonight. That's Cal and Stanford, North Carolina, and North Carolina State. State, of course, being the reigning champions from last year. Cameron Chu coming after Julie Madso, had a 9.85 career high for her.
Cameron has beautiful lines. You see, again, those legs glued together. Nice straddle Jaeger. Little body break in that cast handstand. Right on top of the bar though, and the double tuck. Ooh. Just a step on the landing, but coming after right now, Pitt is looking to drop that 9.75. So the scores are very consistent for Pittsburgh so far on uneven bars. Had a really nice routine. See that straddle Jaeger into her single bar release. Beautiful cast handstand. They have a 10-degree window where judges can maybe take a 10, maybe not, but she showed right in that green, right where she needed to be.
You see the grayed out numbers on the right side of your scoring tower there. That number for Pitt, the 9.75, is their low score. For Clemson, it's the 9.7. Here's Molly Arnold, their last vaulter. Oh, no!
And she just didn't get the block off the vault. Watching her in warm-ups, she had a little bit of trouble with the landing, just couldn't get it in the competition.
Oh,
an unfortunate anchor position.
And she scored as high as 9.975 in her career, coming back from an injury. Typically vault and floor are where we see her. And that's unlucky. That means that 9.7 for Eve Jackson will be the score, the low score that they will count. So a missed opportunity in that first rotation for Clemson on one of their better events. Emily Todd now on bars. Cameron Chu, her score came in at a 9.75. And Casey Jo McPherson told us they're looking for at least 50% stuck landings to get a good team score here.
And so far, Bart, they are doing just that. Emily is aggressive, and this is a new dismount for her.
Nice. Yeah.
Beautiful job. She did a blind change double tuck last year and then upgraded this season. Gets the stuck landing. Pittsburgh is just having a blast out there on uneven bars. This was a great first event for them.
Casey Jo McPherson says, we have nothing to lose. We're the lowest ranked team in the competition. Let's go big or go home. All right, Clemson on vault 9.9.
Madison
9.875 for Madison. And then Walsh with the 9.9. The final score was Molly Arnold, only a 9.15. Taylor's got their coach, Amy Smith, right now. Taylor?
Coach, how would you assess your first rotation there on vault?
I thought it was a great start. You know, I mean, Madison Minner drilling that 1.5, and then Tara, I think that was her highest score of the year. So, I mean, we set up a solid 49, and we're rolling. So excited about it.
You guys had Bridget and Bart going crazy up there in the booth. What's your message to your team heading over to bars next?
Just execute and show up and do your job and keep it rolling. We're doing good.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Go Tigers.
Guys.
All right, when we return, Taylor Tannenbaum looks at these teams and how their coaches are shaping their present and future.
Welcome back to First Horizon Coliseum as we get ready for the second rotation. Here's how these two programs compare. Pitt's inaugural season back in 1975, so they're celebrating 50 years. For Clemson, this is only year 2, so a ton of history, not just yet, but they're getting there. Clemson did, though, have a great year 1, punching a ticket to regionals, while Pitt hasn't been to the postseason in a little bit of time, since 2018. But both of these teams, you can see and sense that momentum building, setting program records the last few years. And really for both programs, the future is really bright with the young talent that they have. Panthers head coach Casey Jo McPherson, when talking to us about her freshman class, she highlighted their composure. It's different, and she added that every freshman on this year's roster got competition experience, which will pay dividends for them down the road. As for the Tigers head coach, Amy Smith has really had to rely heavily on some of her underclassmen this season, like Quinn Cool and Hannah Clark, who have stepped up huge in the wake of all their injuries we've already noted, Bart.
All right, thank you, Taylor. And of course, we remember when these young ladies were competing. Amy Smith, get this, she was the Big 8 vault champion in year 1 at Oklahoma. Then she transferred to UCLA and ended up becoming a Pac-10 floor champion. Casey Jo McPherson, of course, competed for Arkansas, where she's an 8-time All-American. So These coaches know what they're talking about, and it's no wonder that they have such outstanding programs. All right, more of the ACC Gymnastics Championship Session 1. Pittsburgh has a lead by just under 0.2 of a point. After the first of 4 rotation, Pitt, nice job on bars, just 25 thousandths under their season high on that event, so they're off to a great start, have a lead over Clemson in this first rotation just by less than 0.2 of a point. So in this rotation, the teams will flip-flop essentially, so now Pitt will be on the vault and Clemson will be on the bars. Pittsburgh season recap. This is their second season under Casey Joe McPherson. Had a season high last week, 196.575 versus West Virginia, one of their best meets of the year. That's their second highest score in program history, and they've been around for 50 years. 6 gymnasts post 9.9 or better. So as Casey Joe told us on the phone the other day, go big or go home. We have nothing to lose here. Olivia Junta, first vaulter. Oh!
Almost a stuck. Yurchenko full. We're not going to see the 10-0 start values from Pittsburgh on vault, but Bart, we talk so much about risk versus reward. And this is an event where they can really elevate those Yurchenko fulls. It's a 9.95 start value. Olivia doing a nice job setting the tone for this vault rotation.
Dakota Berry, sophomore from Newport Beach, California, will lead off Clemson on the bars.
Dakota has nice lines, a little messy in those legs. You saw the leg separation. Want to keep those legs glued together. Wasn't able to get over on that first Cass Hansen. You saw her do that element again. And just the dismount here. Floaty double layout and a stuck landing.
Let's go down to Taylor.
Bart, you were just talking about that West Virginia meet. Prior to that meet, Pitt kind of had that aha moment. Coach McPherson said the team was almost trying to be too perfect at times, competing a little too tense. Not holding back. The message was to be the most hyped team, the team having the most fun. And with that, you saw the high scores that they got, the 6 Panthers having personal best, and they've really carried that momentum, as you can see, into today.
It's really great to see these former athletes just stepping up as coaches and seeing how successful they have been. Bridget, of course, you're a 1,000,000-time All-American. Have you ever thought about coaching in college?
I've thought about it, but I love being able to be involved in the sport and giving back to a sport that gave me so much. And when you see these athletes that are transitioning into coaching, it's so relatable. They can relate and really empathize with the athlete and what they're going through, which at the end of the day, these are student athletes. They're young women that are going to be going out into their adult lives after graduation, so they're really being set up for success.
Score for Olivia Genta was a 9.6. Not exactly the leadoff score that Pitt wanted. Jamie Pratt now.
Another Yurchenko full. A much better height and much better distance with that vault. Jamie not afraid to go big on vault. Another Yurchenko full. Coming after Olivia. So that 9.6 part, that is really going to be the score that Pittsburgh is going to want to drop. So we're going to hope to see those scores improve as we go down the lineup.
Eve Jackson, she is set to go on bars. Dakota Berry's score came in as a 9.7. Interesting story about Eve Jackson. Of course, her uncle is NFL Pro Bowler Deshaun Jackson, football superstar.
Beautiful release right down to the low bar. Eve didn't have the first rotation that she wanted. This is a big moment for her. hop on the landing, but Bart, that was a gorgeous routine, excellent execution. One thing Eve does so well, she's dynamic, but she's also controlled, which is it's a difficult balance to have on uneven bars. Jaeger right down to the low bar. You saw those legs glued together. Very well done.
Scores in for Jamie Pratt. That's a 9.75. For Pitt on vault, Cameron Chu now, the freshman from Hawaii.
Cameron hasn't stuck a vault yet in competition. Love to see what she does here.
There you go.
Almost. She was so close to sticking. One thing that Casey Jo talked to us about was absorbing the landing. You saw her pop up just a little too quickly. Another Yurchenko full here. Great body position throughout, but right there, you saw her legs. They didn't bend quite enough to really absorb the landing, but very minimal hop on that landing, so really nice job for Cameron.
Pitt competing out without one of their superstars, Ali Kapuich. She's not in the lineup here this weekend, and she's been out for the season. So their philosophy, as we had heard, is go big or go home. And both of these teams are having fun. They really have sort of nothing to lose here in this session. Clemson is already a lock into the NCAA regional competition, which starts in a couple of weeks. Pitt, unfortunately, is mathematically now out of the running, so just have fun today, right?
Absolutely. Really, all these athletes can compete with ease. Very nice combination there for Lauren.
Lauren Rutherford coming after the 9.8 from Eve Jackson.
Just the dismount, double layout, and gets the stick. That was a big moment for Clemson. Get things back on track after Eve. And take another look here. This release, this is a ray, and then right down, immediate bail. Little combination bonus for her, and then sticks this double layout.
She's been dealing with a nagging knee injury, so she's been limited to just uneven bars that transfer from NC State, but happy with that effort. Kennedy Duke from British Columbia next up after Cameron Chu's score came in as a 9.8.
Very nice Yurchenko full. Would love to see Pitt really hone in on those landings. They've got great execution off the vault. Kennedy just a step on the landing there, coming after Cameron's 9.8.
Hannah Clark will be the next competitor for Clemson on the bars. Can't say enough about this program. They finished second in the ACC last year behind NC State. Went from 0 to something pretty spectacular in a very short amount of time, thanks to their outstanding coaching staff led by Amy Smith just in her second season. The team goal right from the get-go was being legendary and making history. I think they've already done that, wouldn't you say so?
I think they have accomplished just that. And once you get the ball rolling, just continue that momentum.
This year they've been bit by the injury bug, so they've had to have a lot of athletes step up and compete, others who wouldn't normally be in the lineup, right?
Hannah's a very beautiful bar swinger, great lines.
Oh, nice.
Let's see if she can get the stick here. Just a step on that dismount, but throughout that routine, Hannah does such a good job of keeping the body position tight. Legs glued together, toes pointed. Just an overall great bar worker.
Anna Clark, the freshman from Huntington Beach, California. Her club training at Azarian's Gymnastics, named after one of the great gymnasts from the former Soviet Union. Here is Jaliyah Bedminster after Kennedy Duke notched a 9.8.
Just a hop on the landing. I think she really wanted to stick that. You saw her keep those hips open, and then at the last minute she piked, and I think she just piked down a little too much. So she kept that momentum going. So right there, you see, she's not absorbing the landing, really making sure that they're controlling those landings.
Go down to Taylor.
Jaliyah Bedminster, I know you see the smile constantly on her face, but she's known as the resident hype woman for this Pitt team. She's the one that brings the fun and always has the smile on her face. She's dancing, having a good time, and I know coach is relying on her, especially in today's meet, to bring the fire for this Panthers team.
Even though there's a rather modest crowd here today, the athletes are pretty pumped up, and I'm enjoying myself. How about you?
I'm having a great time, Bart.
It's amazing how much NCAA gymnastics has grown. This weekend, of course, all the conference championships are taking place all around the country. There's a lot going on. Here is Quinn Gould, the 5'8" gymnast from Clemson.
Really nice combination. Had some trouble with that in warm-ups. Quinn is a competitor for this Clemson team. Oh, tiny hop on that landing, but a very clean bar set for Quinn Gould.
Their last two scores for Rutherford and Clark were both 9.8, 2.5. So Clemson taking the lead and building on it.
Beautiful cast handstand right where she needs to be, right on top of the bar. And a nice double layout. Just a tiny shuffle of those feet and a hop on that landing. But again, throughout that bar routine, so clean and concise.
I mentioned 5'8". That doesn't sound very impressive in most sports, but in this sport, she's a head taller than pretty much everybody else out there. Here's Cesarone now for Pitt.
Very nice Yurchenko full. Elizabeth has great amplitude off the ball, and one thing she does so well is watch her body position throughout. A lot of athletes do the Yurchenko full and they pike down the landing. She actually extends her hips open, absorbs that landing, and gets a great vault.
She's coming after this 9.775 for Jaliyah Bedminster. So the score that Pitt will drop on vault will likely be the 9.6 of Olivia Junta in the first spot. But they will probably not break. Well, they could break 49, and a 49, what does that mean in gymnastics terms? That's a 9.8 or better. And in women's college gymnastics, anything between 9.8 and 10 is considered pretty darn good. How many 10s did you earn in your career, Sloan?
I believe I had 7, maybe 8. I did get a perfect 10 on all 4 events.
The gym slam.
Gym slam, I did do that.
I only got 3 10s, and I'm pretty sure I deserved maybe one of them.
Now, we don't have to go into detail about deserving said 10s.
Kate Bryant now. Whoa, she's so high. Boy, was she flying on that release move.
Gets so high. That was a Tkachev. And this is a great angle to see just what happened. She lets go really early, and you saw her hands behind the bar. When these athletes are doing these single bar release moves, they need to have their hands over the top.
It looks like they are electing to call it there. She doesn't have to go back up because they already have 5 scores, right? They have the 9.7 from Dakota Berry.
Yep.
And everybody else is 9.8 or better. So Clemson will get a 49 in that event. Emily Todd on bars for Pitt. Their high score, 9-9. And Elizabeth Cesarone, their high score on vault was a 9.85. These two teams separated by still less than 0.2 of a point. Let's go down to Taylor.
Casey Joe, go big or go home is what you told us this week about the message today. What do you say about your team through 2 rotations so far?
We started off super strong on bars, got 4 stuck landings, which is awesome. You know, we came over to vault, didn't get as many sticks, but we had some really dynamic vaults, so we're really excited about where we're at.
Heading to floor, what is the mindset next?
Having fun, putting on a party.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, session 2 of the ACC Women's Gymnastics Championship is tonight. And when we return, we'll take a look at the history of the championship and the teams competing for the title. Go back to Greensboro. There is the trophy that will be presented later tonight at the end of session 2. But in session 1 right now, Pittsburgh has the lead by just under 0.2 of a point over Clemson. There have only been 2 ACC women's gymnastics champions. NC State won it in 84, and then the sport wasn't sponsored by the conference until 2024, and NC State won it again. Well, they'll be competing in the evening session tonight to try to repeat as their ACC champions, but competition got a little bit tougher. And we've talked about it in every sport. Realignment has changed a lot of things. And in this conference, it's still hard for me to say Cal and Stanford are in the Atlantic Coast Conference, but that's the reality.
It is the reality. So the ACC brought in 2 top 5 teams, Stanford and Cal, elevating the gymnastics across the board.
MJ Frazier is, of course, one of the leaders, along with Maya Lozon at Cal. She is outstanding everywhere.
She is dynamic in her gymnastics. She's powerful, but she also has this sense of grace. Just a true competitor in her junior season, so have no fear. We will have her for another season. She has just been a rock star for this Cal team.
Take a look at the accolades of the teams that we'll see tonight. California, top 11 in the NCAA on all 4 events. They're very balanced. Stanford had 5 gymnasts named all ACC. That's the most in the conference. NC State's returning 3 ACC champions from last season. And North Carolina had one of their best weeks last week, and they've moved up to 25th in the country. So we'll see them tonight. After tonight's afternoon session is over, 7 p.m. tonight, the final session of the ACC Championship. A full day of gymnastics from Greensboro. Don't go away.
My favorite movie is Karate Kid. My favorite hobby is shopping. One thing I can't live without is talking to my family. My favorite vacation destination is Dubai. One thing a lot of people don't know about me is I read French before I read English.
Jordan Ewing, just one of the many impressive young athletes here in today's competition, and one of the many from outside of the country. Pittsburgh has 5 gymnasts that are international competitors, and talking to Casey Jo McPherson last year, she said in order to get some traction and recruit top talent in the United States, she started looking around and said, wait a minute, there's a lot of foreign athletes who love NCAA gymnastics and want to be a part of it, and she opened the door, and look what has resulted. Some outstanding gymnasts have come to Pittsburgh to compete for Pittsburgh.
I think that is so great, Bart. I think it just opens the door for everybody. You know, NCAA gymnastics is not just for everybody in the United States, and I think it just allows for more talent. They bring a little bit of a flair, that international flair, and it's just exciting to see these athletes be able to continue their career even if they are not from the United States.
Here is the meet summary at the halfway point in this competition. Pitt still has a lead by 0.15. Remember, session 2 is tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern on the ACC network. You mentioned the international competitors. Stanford, who we'll see tonight, they have Anna Barbosu, who is an Olympic medalist from Romania, who will be joining their team next year. And so this momentum that NCAA gymnastics has been building over the last several years domestically is really permeating internationally. There's a lot of young gymnasts around the world that want to be part of this action. It's good fun.
Who wouldn't want to be part of the NCAA, Bart?
Well, you were the first world all-around champion who actually kept your eligibility and competed for the University of Florida. Did you have to turn down all those professional opportunities back then when the people were so-called amateur athletes?
Turned down a lot, but I think I made the right decision. I'll stand by that.
Hannah Clark will be the first competitor. This is always an important routine for any team on beam. Talk about the key element to the leadoff competitor. How good or how nerve-wracking is it?
Some athletes really love being in the leadoff. I was not one of those athletes. I preferred to be in the middle or the end. Ooh. And the one thing you want from your leadoff is you want to hit. This is what is going to continue and keep that momentum going. The rest of the lineup has to redo that skill. Hannah just needs to really dial it in, get it back.
Hannah has had to step up like many of the athletes at Clemson because Lily Lippett, normally in the lineup, not able to compete right now. So Hannah has done a good job this year so far stepping into that leadoff role. A little unlucky here today in that opening spot.
Just the dismount here for Hannah. Round off double twist, gets the stick. An unfortunate start to that routine. Gonna take another look on the mistake. This is a front toss. And you saw that really her entire right side dip. And on these elements where you are flipping over the beam, it is so important to be just right over the top. Really fought for that, but unfortunately just couldn't stay on.
Well, I love that tight shot, just showing how they're trying the hard as they can to grip that 4-inch wide beam with their toes. Elizabeth Cicerone will lead off Pitt on floor. They have the lead by 0.15.
First pass, front full to front layout, great control. Beautiful double pike. You saw her have a little bit too much momentum there, but held it on. That front foot in the lunge did not come off the floor, so really nice save there.
Cicerone was in a leadoff spot last week against West Virginia. Their season high score. She had a 9.8 to lead off Pitt on that event.
Well, Bart, so far this has been a great routine for Elizabeth and this Pitt team, and a nice double tuck to finish out in that leadoff spot. It is so important. Her job was to get the ball rolling, get that momentum, and she did just that.
Cicerone, the graduate student from Lancaster, PA, one of several gymnasts at Pitt from Pennsylvania.
And this second pass, this is a double pike, and watch those shoulders, they fly back, but she has so much, really she's a veteran competitor, able to save it with that landing and a nice finish with that double tuck.
Bree Clark next up for Clemson. Now this routine is critical because Hannah Clark's score comes in as only an 8.85. So for Clemson to have a respectable team score, they're going to need 5 hit routines starting right now with this one. Nice.
Nice connection there. That was a standing front tuck into a beat jump. Now, Bart, normally you have to kind of do a walk into punch front, but not for Bree.
Oh,
Gorgeous acro series handspring layout step out. Maria is so dynamic with every element she does, especially on beam. She's not afraid to go big. And a nice front 1.5 twist dismount. That was a huge moment for Clemson.
The redshirt junior from Daphne, Alabama. 2 times this year she's been ACC Specialist of the Week.
Right there. Bart, that was a standing punch front into a beat jump, and then finishes with this front 1.5 twist. I mean, that was huge for Clemson in this third rotation.
I could never do a standing punch front, could you?
Me either.
We'll see her on floor as well, where she is outstanding. We'll talk more about her historic accomplishments this year when we see her a little later on. Score for Cicerone, a 9-8. Jamie Pratt will be second up.
Jamie has such a fun routine here. She is pretty much going to smile throughout this entire floor routine. First pass. Gorgeous front layout to front double twist.
She had a solid 9.85 on bars in that first rotation for Pitt.
For Jamie. Round off 1.5 to front layout. So well done. Wow. Really nice job by Jamie. Bart, we talked early on about the difficulty of gymnastics, and this first pass that she does, this is a front layout into a front double twist. And to break it down, I did that pass and I didn't even do the front layout. I just did the front double twist. So she is not afraid to do big gymnastics, but do the difficulty, and she does it well.
Gymnasts earn combination bonus points for connecting 2 skills like that, so they are rewarded for taking that extra risk. Tara Walsh now for Clemson. You see her season average on beam. Bree Clark had a solid 9.75. Remember, every one of these routines is going to be crucial for Clemson now.
Acro series, handspring layout, step out, beautifully done. Saw her get right to her finish. Nice combination there. Cat leap to front toss to beat jump. We mentioned Hannah Clark starting things off with that unfortunate fall. Bree Clark coming after, and Tara. Right now, these athletes are doing exactly what they need to do. Dismount. What a statement for Tara Walsh. It is not over yet. That is the beauty of having 6 athletes compete and only 5 scores count. Really huge moment.
Here's a young lady who hadn't competed beam in 5 years. She stepped in when McCright got injured and delivered a clutch routine right now.
Absolutely. Finishes with that stuck 1.5 twist. Very, very well done.
Jordan Ewing coming after Jamie Pratt's very impressive 9.875.
First pass for Jordan. Nice 1.5 to lay out, little combination to get things started for her.
You don't often hear jazz music as a floor routine, but good for her. Try something different.
I love it. And she's such a beautiful dancer. She moves so fluidly. And then she puts up huge tumbling. That was a double tuck. Gorgeous routine for Jordan. And Pitt is just doing what Pitt does best right now. Having fun, and they're just performing so light.
Not everybody could pull off choreography like that with that
No.
kind of music. How about that?
She started things off with that 1.5 to front layout. And this is a roundabout handspring double tug. Watch her just get right to that finish, right to that lunge.
And the team finished the routine with Jordan Ewing, who's getting her degree in social work. She loves doing community events, particularly with kids, and I can see why she would be a hit. Sierra Church now, after Tara Walsh had a 9.775. So Clemson has 2 hit routines after that first miss. See if they can keep the momentum going.
Sierra's going to start things off with her acro series. It's a handspring layout step out, but watch her finish because she is aggressive with that finish. Watching her in warm up, it was almost as if there was no way she was going to be coming off the balance beam. Side aerial into split jump. Nice connection there. Judges are looking for deductions, and a big area of deductions on balance beam comes from the combination skills. Just the dismount. Round off 1.5, hop on the landing, but again, a clutch routine for Clemson on balance beam. And this acro series, it is a requirement in this handspring layout step out. I mean, she is just aggressive to that finish right over the top. Beautiful execution and extension in her leaps, the toe point. I mean, that was a gorgeous routine.
Judges are looking for that required 180-degree split in those leaps and jumps, and hers were beautiful.
Mika Lee for Pitt. This is big. Oh! Huge front handspring double twist. Had a little too much momentum there. Maybe she should add a half. Front 2.5.
Just a freshman from Alaska. Coaching staff says she loves to perform. Somehow she just turns it up a notch when it's competition time.
Beautiful. Round off half into a 1.5 twist. Beautiful routine for Mika Lee, a freshman. I cannot wait for her career.
Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. It's ACC Huddle, Miami Football Pro Day, as Cam Ward showcases his skills for NFL scouts and front office personnel. Let's go down to Taylor.
Sophomore Quinn Cool stepped into 3 events this year after only competing on beam sporadically last year, and she's been delivering. Coach Smith says aside from her gymnastics, she's so much fun to coach even at such a young age, very comfortable in her own skin. She worked really hard last summer, always ready when her number's been called, and she has stepped up big for the Tigers this season, Bart.
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, that has been their narrative this year. When we got on the phone the other day with Coach Smith, first 10 minutes about the call was all about the injuries they're dealing with, and then the rest of the call was all about how this team has stepped up dramatically to still put together a pretty darn respectable team and make it into the NCAA regional competitions, which begin in 2 weeks.
Gorgeous triple series, handspring, handspring, layout, step out. Her lines are just beautiful.
I mentioned she's 5'8" earlier, and it's interesting because when you're that much taller, your center of gravity is higher off of the beam. It's got to make it just a matter of physics. It's got to be more difficult.
I would assume so, Bart. I don't know from personal experience what that is like, but
well, think about a gymnast like Simone Biles, who's 4'8" or 9. She's nearly a foot closer to the beam, which gives her maybe a bit of an advantage physically.
Well, either way, Quinn Cool putting up a big routine for Clemson. I think she uses her height to her advantage, honestly. Because this triple series, handspring, handspring, layout, step out, she just floats through the air. Gorgeous execution and a round off. Tuck 1.5 dismount. Clemson is not giving up. They started with that mistake, but every single routine after has been getting better and better.
There have been 3 straight 9-7 pluses. Should be a good score for Quinn Cool. Emily Todd now. Speaking of good scores, Pitt, everyone is 9-8 or better, including Jamie Pratt's 9-8-7-5. So Pitt hoping to extend their lead here.
Gorgeous double pike to start things off. One thing Pitt has really impressed me on this floor rotation is their control and their landings. The floor exercise on podium sometimes can be a little extra bouncy, and it can really throw athletes off, but Pitt is really honing in not just on the difficulty of their tumbling, but the ending and their finishes.
You mentioned the equipment's up on a podium. That's essentially like a 3.5-foot riser, like staging. And all the equipment is up on top of that podium for championship part of the season, conference, and NCAA championships. And so all the equipment takes on a little bit of a different dynamic when it's on a bouncier surface, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It can be an advantage or not, depending if you know how to control it.
Front tuck to double tuck. Oh! And just what we were talking about, that little extra bounce. Wasn't able to control that landing, but right now, Pitt has really been doing a strong job on floor exercise. This last pass, it's a front tuck step out to double tuck, and she just, you see that momentum moving backwards. Her shoulders kept moving, unfortunately taking her out of bounds, which will be that neutral deduction, no questions asked.
Now there's a very, very important routine coming up now for Clemson. Take a look at the scores on the right. That grayed out number for Hannah Clark is an 8.85. That's the score they need to drop. You see all the other scores are 9.7 or better. So in order to get a respectable beam score as a team, they need to hit right now.
She had some trouble with this in warm-up. Not when it counts. Bart, I think I saw her do that series at least 6 times, and she kept going to the left side and pulling to the left side. Looks like she figured it out because they needed that acro series to stay on.
One of those gymnasts that was a transfer from Utah State when Amy Smith came to Clemson. Has been limited a little bit because of injury, but wow, they call her the beam queen. You can see why.
You don't get that name just by chance. Gorgeous side aerial to split jump. That angle is so perfect for those skills because you saw her just right over the top.
Another one of those combination skills that earn bonus points.
Dismount.
All right.
Oh, wow. What a finish for Clemson. They started off not the way they wanted to, but wow.
Amy Smith, you can tell that she's not only happy, but certainly relieved as well. That was lovely.
Just beautifully done, the execution. I love the extension she got on all of her elements and sticks that dismount. What a moment.
That's all you need to say right there. Final competitor in this third of 4 rotations will be Jalea Bedminster. Scores for Pitt have all been 9-8 or better. So they are likely to extend their lead, but it depends on what Bedminster can score here. Still waiting on the score for Emily Todd. Just remind the audience what the judges are looking for in a floor exercise routine.
Ultimately, it comes down to the difficulty. We talk about a lot of those passes and what grade of difficulty they are, and the presentation and landings. In my opinion, presentation is everything this season. What is going to set these athletes apart? They can all do big tumbling, but it comes down to the dance.
Emily Todd's score is in. It's a 9.65. That's the lowest score for Pitt on floor. Opportunity here to increase their team score and to get into the 49s, which is an average of over 9.8 if Bedminster can hit now.
Huge tuck full in to start things out. I watched that in warm-up, and Bart, it looked good. And man, can she deliver. Casey Joe said she's one of our fun, light-hearted leaders, always amping the girls up, her teammates, keeping them light.
Oh, no! She
saves that 1.5 to lay out. That was a very deep squat.
Oh, my goodness. How did she stay on her feet? That's miraculous.
Nice finish, but man.
Let's take a look at the contrast in these 2 tumbling passes. What an athlete, the graduate student from Loganville, Georgia.
Starts things off. This is a tuck full in, does it so well. Right to that lunge. And she just had a little too much juice here. She really overdoes that 1.5. You saw those shoulders just keep on moving. Able to save it, but a very deep squat on that landing.
Oh, anytime you're over-rotating on that 1.5, it's lights out. The fact that she stayed on her feet and saved a major deduction is pretty darn impressive. All right, we'll get her score when we come back for the third and final rotation. We'll have some highlights going into the fourth rotation when we come back to Greensboro. All right, welcome back to Greensboro. A lovely day of gymnastics here. We're getting set for the fourth and final rotation. Pittsburgh, they said it was go big or go home, and they have done just that. They've scored clean execution throughout the day, and they're performing with such grace and enthusiasm. It's exciting to see that.
It is. This is a team, they came in and they said, we have nothing to lose, and why not us? Casey Joe talks so much about that. This is a team that has put in the work, and why not them? They're going out there, they're competing light and having fun. And
Jalea Bidminster, before the break, she got just a 9.5, but she did save a major deduction on that landing. Take a look at some of their highlights from earlier rotations.
Emily Todd on uneven bars. This was huge. 9.9. Ends up sticking this landing. So impressive. And then Elizabeth Cicerone on vault. This was another huge vault for Pitt. Yurchenko full. Just fantastic so far. And then over to floor, Jamie Pratt. Big tumbling, great execution. Posted that 9.875. So they are moving and grooving for Pitt.
And by the way, Kylan McWright, the last competitor for Clemson on the beam, had a 9.875. Their high score in that event and a season high for her. All right, when we come back, we'll be set for the fourth and final rotation. Can Pittsburgh hold off Clemson? Don't go away.
My favorite movie, by far, is The Princess and the Frog. My favorite singer is Charlie Wilson. My favorite vacation destination, I would probably say Busch Gardens. Favorite gymnast growing up, Lemencia Hall, but then also Simone Biles.
Welcome back to Greensboro. What a moment a few weeks ago as Bree Clark became the first ever collegiate gymnast to successfully land the Biles 1 in competition. The moment went viral, of course, so the GOAT had to respond.
Twice! Yes! Like, she knows I exist, and she pushed some buttons to, like...
Bree says Simone Biles is someone who inspired her to do gymnastics in the first place, so that was such an emotional moment for her and really this team, Bart.
What a moment. That's pretty spectacular. Well, we're going to see her on the floor today. I don't believe she's going to be doing the Biles skill, but who knows? Maybe she'll get inspired and just go for it. They need a little boost here because Clemson has had one mistake on each of the three events earlier today. They haven't counted a mistake, but when you have a mistake, all of your scores tend to just be a little flatter. Everybody gets a little bit tighter, right?
That does happen, and that it's something that you obviously don't want to have happen, but one thing that Clemson's coaching staff has to be proud of is they have not given up. Even with the mistakes, they are able to persevere, push through, and they're still able to put up those big scores.
That's a good point. Talking to Amy Smith earlier this week, she said, we're going to scratch and claw every day just to keep going because they had the injury bug this year, not unlike when she was in her second year at Utah State. And they've had to ask a lot of athletes to step up when many of their heavy hitters were not available for the lineup. So Amy Smith has her team qualified to the NCAA Regionals, which begins in a couple of weeks. 36 teams in the United States make it into the regionals, and Pitt, unfortunately, mathematically is out of it. So this is an opportunity, not out of this competition, out of the NCAA championships. However, this is an opportunity for Pitt here to pull off a win if they can. They've had a couple of good meets in a row, and today they've been quite consistent, and they're competing, as their coach Casey Joe McPherson told us, with abandon. They're going for it.
They are, and Mika Lee starting things off for Pitt on balance beam. She had a gorgeous floor routine, so right now Pitt is just trying to keep that momentum up. Nice acro series, handspring layout, step out.
Mika Lee, the freshman from Palmer, Alaska.
This is an athlete that Casey Joe said she just really loves watching her get better and better. As a freshman, she put in the work and is now in the lineup. Sticks that 1.5. Really nice job for Mika Lee and this Pittsburgh team.
She did a nice job on the floor in the rotation before with a 9-8.
High fives and hugs all around. Just a nice overall start, and this dismount sticks the 1.5 twist.
Pretty cool character. Madison Minner will lead off floor for Clemson. And a 9.875 outstanding score on vault in that first rotation.
Big first pass here. Front double twist. Very nice execution on that. Great height, but great control on the landing. Madison is normally in the middle of the pack in this floor lineup, but it's going to start things off for us today. We talked about the injury bug that unfortunately got a hold of Clemson, so having to interchange the lineups here and there has been really beneficial for them. And athletes getting experience. Gorgeous last pass. That was a front 1.5 to layout, step out. Very nice start, a solid start for Clemson on this fourth rotation.
And there's a nice turnout of Clemson fans in the audience. They appreciate that for the local gymnast who was a walk-on, earning her spot on this outstanding team.
You would never know that she's a walk-on athlete with the way that she competes. Just such a strong competitor. Teammates love that floor routine.
Remember, they only trail by 0.2 of a point, Pittsburgh, so they're not out of it, and Pittsburgh is on beam. Mika Lee led them off with a 9.725. Remember, these are the 5th and 6th seeds in this conference. The top 4 seeds compete later tonight at 7 p.m., and that's Cal and Stanford, North Carolina, and NC State. We will determine at the end of this evening who wins the ACC championship trophy.
Nice leap series switch, half to split jump. Casey Joe said that Emily Todd just had laser focus. Little balance check there. You saw that leg come off the balance beam, but holds on. And dismount. A stuck front full. Really nice job coming after Mika Lee, 9.725. Pitt is just continuing to keep that ball rolling. The momentum, the energy is high over there on balance beam.
Remember, tonight at 7 Eastern here on the ACC Network and ESPN app, Cal, Stanford, NC State, and North Carolina compete in session 2. At the end of that session, we will crown the ACC champions. As we get ready to go back to Clemson on the floor, quick adjustment of scores. The score on bars for Quinn Poole was adjusted up 0.025 after a score change there in the rotation 2 on bars. Her score went from a 9.825 to a 9.85. Once again, these two teams very close here coming into this final rotation. Right now, .025 separates these two teams.
Molly Arnold here. Huge tuck full in, coming after Madison's 9.9. So Clemson is starting off strong in this fourth rotation.
This is Clemson's highest ranking event nationally. They're currently 23rd in the country on floor.
Beautifully done. That was a 2.5 punch front. Wow. What a performance.
Oh, and a nice recovery. You might remember in the first rotation, Molly had a 9.15 on vault. Not what she had hoped for, but outstanding there.
No doubt. Starts things off. This is a tuck full in. Little messy in the legs, but keeps it inbounds. And this right here, combination 2.5 punch front, great control. So much excitement.
Amy Smith never missing an opportunity to promote her program. She said when she wanted to sell out the building, she said the first thing she did was call Mark Cook, who was a coach at Arkansas, and he started their program. And he says, you need to give Greg Marsden a call, the coach at Utah, because they have built a legendary following, over 15,000 at every meet. So Clemson built a huge fan base, learning from some of the best.
Nice acro series for Raina Garvey, coming after Emily Todd's 9.675. Raina is a beautiful beam worker from her toe point, leg extension. Just so cool, calm, and collected.
She had an early season ankle sprain, and really happy to have her back in the lineup on beam. Nice.
Punch front, beautifully done.
There's a local gymnast from Pittsburgh.
And a stuck dismount. Bart, sticks are contagious over the balance beam.
Casey Joe said we want to stick 50% or better. They're doing a nice job in this final rotation, and they have to be because Clemson is very strong on floor right now.
This dismount, Gainer Pike off the end. What a moment, an emotional moment. This is a team that has put so much into this season, and they are just out there competing free, competing fun, and having a blast.
This meet is essentially tied. Right now, these two teams are separated by .125. So every landing is going to matter coming into this fourth and final rotation. Oh, nice.
Beautiful front double twist. Maggie Holman coming after Molly Arnold's 9.825. This is such a strong event for Clemson. Final pass for Maggie here. Gorgeous front 1.5 to layout step out. Very nicely done. Looks like she did keep it in bounds. She was a little close to that line on her last pass.
Maggie Holman, the sophomore.
This first pass, it's a front handspring double twist, just floats through the air. Little lack of control on that landing. This final one, front 1.5 to lay out, step out. She did not step out of bounds, so that white line, very crucial. You can step on it, but you cannot step out, so she did save herself there.
Julie Madso now after Raina Garvey had their high score, 9.85. So you see the grade out score for Emily Todd at 9.675 for Pitt on beam. Be the score they'd like to replace.
Beautifully done. Handspring layout, step out, so much height on that acro series.
That's one of those international competitors, comes from Esker, Norway. He's just a sophomore.
One thing she has done so well this year is Julie has just been consistent on balance beam, an event that tends to give athletes a lot of trouble at times.
Her dismount is one of my favorites. I love that.
In another stick.
Talking to Casey Joe the other day, said, you gotta love that dismount. It's a gainer tucked full off the end. It just looks fun.
I don't know how you teach that or learn how to do it, but wow.
I think you just chuck it off the side of a swimming pool the first time you do it, don't you? Let's go down to Taylor.
Guys, there's potential for Clemson's Eve Jackson to come back for season 6 next year. She's wrapping up her master's in marketing this spring, would go for a second master's next year. And when I spoke to her yesterday about the decision, she's keeping it close to the vest. But Bart, I am saying there is a chance she returns.
All right. Maggie Holman had a 9.85. We have already a 9.825 and a 9.9. So Clemson building here on floor impressively.
Big first pass.
Oh, nice.
So well done. One thing I love is she does not grab her leg. So that is an open tuck, full out. So that twist comes in the second flip. Final pass for Eve. So far, so good in this routine. Front tuck, step out to double tuck. Ooh. Lack of control on the landing, but she holds it in bounds. Nice finish for Eve Jackson. Big tumbling in that floor routine.
She flashes the peace sign, the 2 for Team 2 for Clemson. Boy, don't you love that opening tumbling run?
It was huge. So this is a tuck full out. You see that first flip is a single tuck, and then she does a full twist in the second. So difficult, but done so well. And then ends it with this front through to double tuck. Again, you saw that momentum. Her shoulders kept moving back. Unfortunately, had a little lack of control in that finish position.
Back to beam now. Darby Simcox after Julie Madso had a 9.725. So Clemson is pouring it on the floor. If Pitt's going to win this one, they need some big scores in these last couple of routines.
Darby starting things off. That was a double wolf turn. Full turns are required. Oh, and a mistake. Balance break there in that front aerial. this is a requirement for her of connection bonus. So changes things up into a front toss to back handspring.
Score just came in for Eve Jackson, a 9.825. For the first time today, Clemson takes the lead.
Dismount gainer full off the side and another stuck landing. This Pitt coaching staff has got to be impressed with just how strong this beam lineup has been so far. And again, they are not giving up.
Moments ago, Bree Clark getting a few words of encouragement. Remember, we mentioned earlier that she's the first gymnast in NCAA history to perform a move that was invented by Simone Biles, the Biles 1. We don't think we'll see it today, but certainly we'll be impressed with this tumbling.
Oh, she's got a huge double layout here.
Nice.
So well done. Bart, we talk a lot about risk versus reward on vault. We really don't talk about it as much on floor, but when you have got just a bag full of tricks, it's a matter of what is going to be the best for the team. Bree Clark starting things off with that huge double layout.
Eve Jackson had a 9.825 before her, so Clemson, having trailed Pittsburgh all day, is now in the lead with these outstanding routines on floor. Whoa.
Just dynamic.
Oh, you could walk under those leads.
Bart, we probably could. Huge. That was a front layout, front full to front tuck. This is going to be a big score for Bree Clark and this Clemson team.
She's in line for the Women's Gymnastics Coaches Association All-America honor. If she could get a 9.95 here, it would clinch that honor for her.
And these leaps, Bart, I mean, they are just so explosive. Her technique in everything she does is just so nice to see. Such a strong performer. And I have a feeling that is going to be a big score for Clemson.
Waiting on a beam score here just adds a little extra pressure on Elizabeth Cesarone. Feels a little bit like when a field goal kicker gets kind of iced by the other team. I know that judges are not doing that on purpose, but how did you feel when you were ready to go and all of a sudden they said, hang on a second, we got...
I was never really ready to go. So I was playing, you would see me squishing chalk on the mat, and it was kind of, I was the athlete where I had to look at the judge and I made sure they were ready before I was even getting started in my preparation.
Okay, so the score for Darby Simcox is in. It's a 9.425 because of those bobbles. Elizabeth Cesarone will try to earn a score better than that to replace it and still get a decent team score here for Pitt, who has fallen behind Clemson in this final rotation.
Beautiful combination there, front toss to back tuck. Very nice leaps. They really have been working on balance beam of just being confident up on balance beam is 4 inches wide. Hardest event in gymnastics, in my opinion, in a stuck 1.5. Bart, I think they stuck every single dismount in this beam lineup.
Oh, yeah, and you can see Casey Joe. She knows that they are going to lose today to Clemson, but what a great final effort there. They really did fight for those landings. The score in for Bree Clark of Clemson on floor is a 9-9. That means they will clinch this Session 1 competition regardless of what Tara Walsh gets in their final competitor. Remember, the competition for the ACC title is over 2 sessions, so tonight the top 4 seeds will compete. But that means that Clemson, whatever score they end up here, will basically make them the leader in the clubhouse and the team to beat for the 4 teams competing tonight.
Tara opening up front double twist. Great height, great distance on that first pass. Beautiful leaps there.
Remember that Tara had a career-high 9-9 on vault, first rotation.
So right now, Clemson is looking to drop one of their 9.825s. Tara just needs to land this pass on her feet. Just like that.
All right, yeah. Amy Smith likes it. You can see her in the background. Clemson trailed all day in this Session 1, but came on big, especially in that last rotation.
Gymnastics is such an interesting sport, Bart, because it doesn't end until the last athlete goes. It comes down to the final routine, the final element, and this just goes to show that when you don't give up, magic can happen.
Tears for Pitt, because this will be the end of their season. As I mentioned earlier, they did not qualify for the NCAA tournament, which is just the top 36 teams. It's possible that some of their individual athletes will qualify to the NCAA tournament, but as a full team, for most of the athletes from Pittsburgh, their season is over today. Pretty thrilling finish here in Greensboro. We'll be back in a minute to wrap this one up. Session 1 is complete. We'll give you a look ahead to Session 2 later. The ACC gymnastics title tonight. The final score in Session 1, Clemson with an outstanding finishing rotation with a 196.175 over Pittsburgh with a 195.8. And Taylor is down on the floor with our champion.
Head coach Amy Smith joining me now. You told us this week when we spoke to you that today's meet was all about staying in the fight as you prepare for the postseason. How did your team fight today?
I mean, phenomenally. To close out beam the way that we did, starting it off, had a little fall from Hannah there, but the rest of the beam team just absolutely stayed locked in and crushed it, and then close it out on floor the way that we did. I mean, it was a great day. Great day.
Anyone that knows you knows you're emotional, you're always entertaining, but you were brought to tears from a beam routine by Kylan McWright. What were those emotions about for you today?
You know, Kylan, we've been together a long time. She's a senior, and she's been out a little bit this year and hasn't been able to have the senior year that any of us wanted her to be able to have. And for her to have that moment up there, especially so triumphantly after a fall at the beginning of the lineup, and be able to deliver that kind of beam routine. I mean, those are the moments that coaches live for, and to be able to have that was really, really special. And I'm just so excited for her to have that moment.
Congrats on an amazing afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the day, Coach.
Thank you. Go Tigers.
As always, Bart, Bridget, back to you.
Thank you very much. Congratulate to Amy Smith and her Clemson Tigers. And that momentum really got picked up with Kylan McWright. She got a 9.875 and a clutch routine at the end of that beam routine, and that set up their floor rotation where they just were lights out.
This is really the moment. That moment really set them up for this moment right here. Madison Minner, huge 9.9 to start this floor rotation for Clemson. And followed by the one and only Bree Clark, who set up another 9.9. Had some of the most dynamic tumbling that we saw today. Just outstanding performances all around, but Clemson never giving up the fight and getting the win.
All right, that wraps it all up from session 1. Join us back here on the ACC network tonight at 7 Eastern for session 2 as Cal, Stanford, NC State, North Carolina compete for the title, the 2025 ACC Women's Gymnastics Championship. Your final thoughts? Pittsburgh came in and they said, you know, go big or go home, and they did. But Clemson was just undeniable today in that last half of the competition.
They were, and they're going to set up this program. They are building this program, and they are doing that every single weekend. But this was a huge moment for them to know that even when mistakes happen, when you don't give up, you can still come out successful, and they showed that today. Congratulations to the Clemson Tigers. For Bridget Sloan, Taylor Tannenbaum, and our entire ACC network crew, I'm Bart Connor. Thanks for joining us. Remember, 7 o'clock Eastern tonight, session 2 coming up. More great gymnastics from Greensboro.